Real Talk Raw. My name is Jay Rothman. It is Friday night. It is sunny where I am. The sun is still out, still shining. And I am excited to have my special guest on this evening, Simon Gonzales Jr. Welcome back to the show, Simon. It has been a couple of weeks since we had you on. And I invited you to come back because we spent so much time diving in and talking about a number of different topics. And we ran out of time on probably one of the most important topics. And so I invited you to come back this evening. And so welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you for having me back, Jay. You look great. I think that Arizona is doing you well. And these hikes that you're doing, of course, they're 115 degrees out there. But you look great. You look awesome. That's awesome.
You know, it's I think part of the experience has been just that, is that I hadn't spent any time out here and in the heat, and learning how to navigate and still get my spiritual practice in and get my exercise in, and not wanting to do it in an indoor environment, let's say like a gym or at the Y, which is literally across the street.
Yeah.
I could have joined the Y for the month and gotten in cardio that way. But I have chosen to not work out in a gym for the past 33 months. Because I wanted to be in the outdoors and experience that. And so I just had to learn how to adapt and do things like carry a really heavy wet, these special towels, these microfiber towels that are like $5 online.
Yeah.
And I just put one on my neck, or I actually was suggested put it over my head. And so that really has been a game changer. And we just get out really early in the morning.
Yeah.
And although this morning, by the time we got out, it was already 97 degrees, and we were going to do a 6.8 mile hike, and we turned around. So we ended up only doing about 4.5 miles today. But we are going to go back to that trail because I do want to finish it. I want to complete that. It's the first one that we turned back on. We didn't complete in 4 weeks.
Is that not amazing where you came from in from a health aspect to hiking in Arizona at 190 or whatever it is out there from the beach, from Huntington Beach? It's amazing that your body has been able to adapt to that. You know, I'm out here in Tulsa, and it gets like today, it was supposed to rain and be cool, kind of a 70 day. Turned out to be pretty hot, pretty warm, probably in the high 80s or high 90s. And it's hard for me to adjust to that heat, especially with what I'm dealing with. But you look great.
It's interesting you say that, because the first week I was here, I was really sluggish. The afternoons were really difficult, and I think, to your point, my body just adjusted. And I got through that period. I don't think I really made any changes from a nutritional standpoint. I don't think I increased my water intake, because I already drink about 1 gallon a day of alkaline water. So it's just my body adjusted and off to the races. So in any event, enough about me, Simon. Welcome to the show. I want to thank you for your willingness to come back on today, because the topic that we're going to hit on is one that a lot of people are not willing to talk about, especially when they're right in the middle of the throes of dealing with the challenges of a medical diagnosis. And so this topic is really close to both of our hearts. One, because you have gone through a diagnosis, and you're still in the throes of the battle. And I too went through a diagnosis about a month after you got yours. Both of our diagnoses are very different, yet are life-threatening for different reasons. And so I'd like to open it up and invite you to share with the community. I would like to also thank those that are on the show watching live. Welcome to the show. Linda Dara Reynolds, Christine Young, welcome to the show. Mary Kelly, Christine Young, thank you so much for being here. Juliana, thank you for joining us. Hello. And I think we also have Shavona. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your names right. We got Sue. I think that's it for the moment. Thank you for joining us. If you're not able to catch us live, you will be able to catch us on a replay shortly after the show ends. But Simon, at this point, I'd like to open it up and invite you to share what your diagnosis was, what it felt like in that moment, and initially, how you got through, let's say, the first 48, 72 hours to the first week. What was that all about for you?
Well, I had been previously going through some challenges and very stressful challenges. So, I had no idea how much trouble my body was in. I just kind of grew up being taught or being told, tough it out, tough it out. And so as a result, things just kind of went haywire because I wasn't taking care of it. So here I find myself 61 years old, and I have this tremendous pain that I have no idea what it is. And I'm in a stressful situations at every level. And I am being told that I have a terminal disease. And I'm like, as a man, as a woman, as anybody that's ever told that, it's a really, really, for me, I can only speak for me, how emotional that was. It was really, really scary. And I didn't know what to do. They started talking about all kinds of things that I was confused, and it really scared me. And at the time, I felt like, I was so alone. I didn't know I didn't know what to do. I had no idea of what was happening. And all I knew is that I was hurting and I was confused, and they were doing things to me, and my mind was just all over the place. And so I really didn't know in the first 48 hours, you say, or 48, 72 hours, I was kind of like in a shock, I felt like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm over. I quit. I remember thinking that. And I was afraid. I was ashamed. I was confused. I didn't know where to go. And it emotionally affected me tremendously, and it scared some of my friends because they didn't know how to deal with that. So, because they're used to dealing with somebody that, takes charge, takes control, and all of a sudden I am just like, I'm whipped, and I don't know what to do at this point in the first 72, 48 hours. So, I just kind of sat there and reflected on what was going on, and I had to really look at my part. And it's something that has, for me personally, it had tentacles that went every which way. And I knew, based on my experience from the last 2 years, that, I needed to really look at myself and look at what I was doing. But at this point, I'm confused. I'm scared. I'm embarrassed. My hormones are being affected. Everything is. And I'm trying to figure out how my body's going to respond. And it was kind of like, it's kind of looking at a before shot. Like, you can't even believe that's you. He was like, what happened? And that was scary in itself. But I have people around me that helped me, thank God, get through that. And that's what happened. I started to, understand, and I started leaning into my faith, and that's where my recovery started, with my faith.
Now, up until that moment, Simon, how close were you in spirituality and or in your faith?
Well, I'd always had, I always share this. I share that I've had spirituality. I was never gone to a organized church. I grew up all over the place. But I knew that, I had spirituality. The thing for me is that I was embarrassed because I didn't practice, and that made. How could I uh, ask for help from God? And I thought, geez, everybody does this, And that's what I heard say to me. Yeah, of course everybody does this. So I had to come to terms with my higher power. I had to come to terms that I had a part and that I needed help and that I couldn't do this by myself. And so it came a time where I was called to my knees. And I did that. And today I get on my knees every day, in the morning and the night, in the evening. And I pray, and I ask for forgiveness, and I ask for help, and I ask for wisdom to guide me how to deal with my situation. And I felt so ashamed, but God's amazing. And you just got to ask for help, lean into your faith, be faithful, and practice what he has to say. And he brings you the wisdom, and he brings you the happiness and the peace. It's not that easy. It's a challenge, and you got to work hard at it, but it's worth it to me.
I noticed that when I asked you this question, you were less than 3 seconds in, and you got emotional. Can you share a little bit what's behind that? What are you feeling right now?
Well, this medical diagnosis has changed the dynamics of my physical being completely. And I look better today. I feel better today. But my body is different today. It was like I was being thrust into senior citizen age. The people that I was hanging out with around or I was exposed to were in the mid 40s, late 50s. I'm a generation ahead, a generation and a half. And all of a sudden, I'm a senior citizen and I've got this disease and I feel like I'm disappearing. I feel like nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And when I get emotional about that, it's just like, dude, I didn't work all my life. I didn't know what I didn't know, and it's okay that I didn't know. But I didn't work all my life to land up like this. And I didn't understand that. And so I get emotional about it because sometimes I feel like I've been robbed. And, man, some guys would just say, buck up, get over it, move on, Well, that doesn't work for me. I just it hurts, it's scary, and I had nobody to talk to. Maybe because I wanted to isolate, I wanted to feel bad for myself or whatever that was going on, but it was still scary, and I had nobody I felt like I could talk to. And, there was one person that was calling me, and I am so forever grateful. I don't think I could have made it. I had to take the process literally one day at a time. And man, every time something would happen or something would be different on my body, it would send me into a panic. It was really scary. I get emotional because I feel like I've been robbed of life. But in the simple reality, I'm 65 years old. I've had a great life. I had great opportunities. God has given me the opportunity to care for myself. I got numbers that are scare anybody right now, and the struggle is real. And when I can talk about it and I can get emotional about it, it's a healing process for me. I just want to know for Simon it's okay to feel. It's okay to be afraid, and it's okay to ask for help. That's where I'm at today.
Amen. You know, I asked you that question because, my God, when we get emotional, when you got tripped up a minute ago, I didn't see it as, I didn't feel or sense that it's emotions from a negative perspective. It's almost like what I was feeling was that you had shared that you had not really been connected to a God of your understanding of any type for many years, and it wasn't until you got the diagnosis that you came back. And what I sense is that behind some of those tears also is some bit of gratitude that what you have learned in this process over the last 34 months is that you don't have to do it alone anymore. You don't have to do life alone. Whether you have a diagnosis that you're battling or you're clean and you're in remission, you don't have to ever do life alone. Because you've got God in your life today. You've got a power greater than yourself that you now have developed a relationship with on a daily basis. As you have shared with me, you pray in the morning and you pray before you go to sleep at night. So you bookend your day with God, and for you that works. And the other thing is that when you said that, you know, you felt so alone, I could tell you that you never will be alone again in your life, because being alone is a choice. You know, if we want to just isolate and put our heads under the blanket and I refer to as, I've heard it as duvet therapy. We can go there on any given day, at any given moment. We have 86,400 seconds in a day. And we have over 60,000 thoughts that race through our minds in all those seconds. But it's a choice to go into my life sucks, woe is me, and feel like the victim and feel like this isn't fair and I've been cheated. But most days, I suspect that that's not the choice that you make and you've made to navigate through this process.
No, today
that's a sign that I don't see that often.
Today, I participate in my health, and I participate by praying. I participate in my nutrition. I participate through my quiet time. All of the spiritual readings I do, all of these things are part of my recovery. You know, part of my recovery is to let go and let God. Part of my recovery is to continue to remind myself that there are things in the past that just need to be dealt with and let go. There's so much to diagnosis. And being a man of 65 next month, I'm going to be 65 years old. That's going to be awesome. You know, it's scary. Today I had a customer come in and he got diagnosed and he was very angry and scared, and he actually lost it on me. And I was able to recognize that he wasn't angry. He was fearful for what had just happened, and he didn't know how to react, and he literally was yelling. And so what I did with him was I remembered what happened to me, and it brought a tear to my eye, not because I was feeling sorry for him. It's because I could relate to the pain of what he was going through. He was a man of my similar age. And so today, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I leaned into my faith and that I decided to participate in my recovery at every level. And, you know, sometimes I'll get a little emotional. Sometimes guys will stomp their hands because they don't want to hear me crying, or they don't want to hear me emotional, or they don't want to talk about these personal things, you know. And sometimes we don't. For me, man, this is a big deal. When somebody tells you the things that they told me, this is a full-time job with God, myself, about me taking care of myself and making myself a priority. Because I want to wake up in the morning and I want to live, and I got to do what I have to do regardless of anybody else at this point. This is what it's about for me. So.
Simon, one of the comments you shared kind of brings up a thought to me, which is you talk about relying heavily on God, and I suspect that other people that have either been diagnosed or in throes of it, whatever their disease is, a number of people may just put all of their faith and all of their energy just into connecting with God. Mm-hmm. And that's the extent of the work that they do. They just sit in prayer, mm-hmm. and they just stay in that space of survival, mm-hmm. With a lot of worry and fear.
Yeah.
For the obvious reasons. My sense is that you have not taken that position in your situation. Can you expand a little bit about what you have taken in your own hands and what you are doing for yourself that you believe has extended your life and hopefully will extend it for many, many years, so that we could have you on the show in 10 more years when you're going to be 75.
That would be awesome.
Because we are just beginning, Simon. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and it's not about building cement buildings and laying foundations. It's about sharing our story of healing and our story of recovery. And
it's a story of truth. It's a story of love. It's a story of fear, anger, understanding, compassion. It's a story that will never end. It's a story that goes back into the biblical times. It's a story about a man or men or people that are faced with these kind of things. It's a story of leaning into your faith or whatever that is for you. It's about taking part in your recovery. And there's so much more I could talk about that, but we're talking about how I took this on. So what I did is I listened. Once I decided that I was going to live and I was not going to give up, I started to listen. And man, when you get these kind of things, everybody comes at you. And so, I've been around long enough, so I had to really pay attention and have an open mind. And then I had to start doing things that were working for me in terms of nutrition, rest, all of the things that I knew what to do but never did because I was too busy doing other things that I shouldn't have been doing, if that makes sense. And so slowly my body was getting obviously treated the way it was, and it was going through these radical changes, and it was like 24/7 almost. Minute by minute, my body was having to adjust, and I had to pay attention to that. I could have just said, forget it. I'm going to lay here, take this, take that, and let it be. And everybody around me, that's what you do because that's what the doctor said. Well, that's not what Simon Gonzales does. He tries to figure it out. Thank goodness God has given me the opportunity and the ability to do that. So that's what I did. So a little bit at a time, I try this, I try that. I'd listen to the doctors. I believe there is a place for Western medicine. I believe there is a place for holistic medicine. I believe there's a place for the individual, in this case me, to be able to ask the doctors the hard questions, but being willing to listen to the hard answers. And those hard answers are scary. Those hard answers are 24/7. And so I just resorted to the fact that that's what I was going to do. I was going to focus on my health and what I needed to do as far as nutrition and ask questions, why I'm doing this, why I'm taking that, and study the side effects and kind of adjust to everything so that I can feel better. And today I feel really good. My numbers are dangerously concerning. But, 1 month they're up, 1 month they're down. I feel really good. I, again, put my trust in God, but I participate because he wants me to participate. And he wants me to be happy. He doesn't want me to be upset. He wants a lot of things for me, and I pay attention today. So that's how I started into that.
Now, one of the things we touched on before the show was we talked about what happens when we have that meeting with a doctor and they give us a diagnosis. And in that moment, we're already in shock.
Oh my God!
Because it's like I can't believe this is happening. And then right behind the diagnosis is the capital P, which is the prognosis. And there's where I personally have a big issue with doctors in Western medicine, because to me, what the prognosis is that's the death sentence.
Yeah.
When they tell you how much, we ask, well, doc, that's because we set ourselves up for it. We as citizens in this country, and what we're used to, we're taught it, we hear it, we watch it on TV shows, but somehow we know what to ask, which is, so doc, how much time do I have? And there comes the prognosis. And with that prognosis, it is so common that doctors end up being pretty accurate in their best guesstimate. And that guesstimate is just based on their prior experience of the patients that have come before you and I. Mm-hmm. But the challenge with that is that what they're not really looking at is the patients that extended way beyond and actually pummeled the disease, the diagnosis and the prognosis, and come out on the other end totally clean and live many, many, many years healthy. They're not studying those people in Western medicine to figure out what those people are doing differently than the ones that are buying the diagnosis and the prognosis.
Yeah.
And that's the issue that I have.
Yeah. The issue, I mean, it didn't affect me this way until later down the road. Is, my doctor was a really, really cool doctor. He came in and, he said, Mr. Gonzales, I know you don't want to hear this, but you have this disease and you have 2 to 7 years. If we're lucky, those are the exact words that he used. That's at least what I heard at the time. And I remember thinking, how in the heck can you have the right to tell somebody that? It was frightening, Jay. Frightening. It was like, what? And I just couldn't get my head wrapped around. And that in itself darn near put me into a nervous breakdown, And so, yeah, I have an issue with that. But the other thing that he said too, that, you know what, Simon, 60% of this issue is your stress levels. And again, remember, this is in the beginning of my diagnosis a year and a half ago. So I was in pretty bad shape, physically, emotionally, mentally. I was going through a lot of stuff. I was in pretty bad shape. So he could see that. And I couldn't see it. But again, when I started leaning into my faith and trusting people that had faith, one of the most common things that I didn't have to survive life was the common, relationship with a spiritual foundation. And so when he said to me, 60% of this is stress and you need to change your lifestyle, people that exercise, change their lifestyle, they do this, they survive longer. So when I came to Tulsa, I had the most beautiful experience with the oncologist that I'm working now and my GP, beautiful experiences here. And my GP said, Simon, these are chronic diseases, so they're manageable, but you got to participate. And again, that's how I started to do that. And, that would have been a better way to handle that question. But, for me to get angry about it and to get upset about it, no, that's reality. That's what happens. Yeah. So I'm just taking it one day at a time today and trying to just keep plugging away.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Simon. Another thought that it's coming up for me is we talked early on in the conversation about how different people have responded and reacted to you through this process, through the diagnosis, the prognosis, and the early treatment, and today. And I want to just spend a few minutes, if you may, share with me what have you learned about the people in your life, the people that maybe were part of your life prior, let's say pre-diagnosis, mm-hmm. and the people that are in your life today. Mm-hmm. I could only imagine, I suspect that some of the people that you thought were close friends and were in your life prior kind of went what I call flatline or silent. I sense that only because I have witnessed that and experienced that. For example, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the longer the disease progressed, the longer he had it, and the sicker he got. My mom and dad experienced a number of friends that just dropped off, that just exited out, exit stage left, as the saying goes in Hollywood. And it's because people don't know. A lot of people just don't know what to say. They don't know how to deal with it. It's like when someone dies, and that's another awkward moment where we're like, "What's the appropriate thing to say?" And people say, "I'm sorry, my deepest condolences to you." And
I get that.
A lot of people just go quiet. They just don't know how to engage in a relationship with someone who's dealing with a major diagnosis.
Well, for me, people prior in my life before, I was shocked, but now I'm not shocked because, some people are capable and some people are not capable. I assumed a lot of things, and it's okay. I now know different. I try not to think about that, but that was hard. There was a time where there was crisis going on, and people in my life at the time were not present, and it was very dangerous for me, and that made me feel inadequate. I was told, geez, I don't want that kind of energy around me. Geez, how long is it going to take for you to get over this? Figure it out. Do whatever. These kind of things were coming from, deep within my feelings, and it was just really hard for me to deal with. I was going through a lot of emotional stuff, and I had to. I was still trying to work out through my faith, and I didn't want to be mean, Jay. I'm not a mean person. I can be mean. I was mean. I was I was all those things before I learned a different way. But it was hurtful, and I got even more scared. I felt even more alone. And it wasn't until, again, that I started to remove myself from that arena and move myself into a different arena where people understood. I am not the only one struggling with this kind of disease. There is so many of us out there, men, women, and children. When I see today, God has given me the opportunity, and I am so grateful to see that, hey, I have all my limbs. I have everything connected still. I'm dealing with a major situation in my health, but I'm in one piece. And that's God's grace. That's God's blessing. So if I'm to be respectful of that, I am to respect that and respect my body. And I'm to follow His grace, follow His tidings, and, learn to forgive and let go of those things. It was hard, and it brought on a lot of anxiety, a lot of confusion, a lot of past, and, we have to let that go because I could just get into that, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to live. I want to live, and I want to participate in my life. and I want to do things that are healthy for me, because if I can't help myself, I can't help anybody. I want to be able to help myself first, because you know what? It's kind of cool, you know? I mean, it really is. I mean, I can't even believe how much I got lost, you know? And so I had to let that go. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. God has given me the opportunity to participate in my recovery, and that's what I'm doing.
Thank you for that, Simon. You know, one of my experiences has been, it's, although at times we can be disappointed by other people's actions and behavior, what I have had to embrace and learn and accept is that everybody is right where they're at. And most of the time when people are what I'll refer to as, let's just say, misbehaving within my eyes, towards me, let's say, instead of getting caught up in the negativity or the negative energy that they're putting out, I have to work really hard to reach deep inside and go to that place of just acceptance and not judgment. Acceptance that everybody is right where they're at.
Exactly.
And it's not about me. Whatever it is they're dealing with or they're feeling or they're putting out there in the universe towards other people that may touch on me, it's not about me. It's about their own pain. It's about their own struggles. And so I have to be willing to just accept and love people right where they're at and know that it's not for me to take personally. They're dealing with their own struggles, their own challenges. And where that then places me in my own healing process and recovery from my own medical diagnoses is that it's less important what people think of me. And it's less important the people that choose not to participate in my circle of life today. What's most important is that I show up for myself and that I take care of myself every single day, as though today is the first and the last day of my life.
You know, I had a conversation with somebody today in the office that, you know, life, you got to participate, whether you have been diagnosed with whatever. You have to participate in your life. And participating is your health, your nutrition, your sleep, your rest, all of that. And so with that being said, then you get this kind of diagnosis. I am so blessed and so happy that I got the opportunity to say, look at this mess. This guy is completely out of control. He's overweight. He's worrying about things that he shouldn't be worrying about. I mean, he's completely out of control. He literally made himself sick. And I didn't know it. It was like I was in a closet with no light on. And one day somebody flipped the light on, and there was Dr. Reisner, or whatever his name was, telling me, like, dude, you're a mess. And I was angry, and I was fearful. And I just wanted to scream out. And people were like, hey, everybody gets sick, you know, get over it. Well, I'm not everybody, you know. One day I'm running 44 miles and I'm doing all these kinds of things. I'm a mess. I don't look that good. I'm worried. I'm doing all kinds of things I should be doing. But I'm thinking I'm healthy. Next thing I know, holy smokes, Jay. It was like, what happened, you know? And so, you know, I had to let them go. I had to let those people. A couple of weeks ago, you know, I learned that lesson. For me to have a life today that I have, filled with love and compassion and an understanding for people that don't understand. You can't get love or understanding from people that don't have it to give. And that was hard for me because there was people that I wanted that so much from. But I had to come to the conclusion and realization that it just wasn't there anymore. And it may not have ever been there. And that's okay too. I realized that in my diagnosis, that if I'm to continue to worry about that and struggle with that, that's not going to help my health.
Amen.
And I just needed to kind of let it go. And it comes back. I mean, it came back this morning, and it was like, dude, come on, give me a break, But I'm aware today, so that's what saves me today.
The what I just heard you say, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, paraphrase you a little bit. Is you mentioned about some people in your life that they're right where they're at, and they may never be capable of loving more than they're capable of. But here's my truth, Simon, is that I had no idea. Now, although a diagnosis was very different, we have both had to navigate through some serious health challenges.
Oh.
And not only do we have that in common, both of us had what we could refer to as a toxic cocktail. Others refer to it as that perfect storm, where it wasn't just the diagnosis. It was a lot of things that led up to that diagnosis that were very damaging for both of us. And that then, I believe, led to us getting sick, because the dis-ease inside of us led to disease. Dis-ease led to disease.
What I now believe, for me, and this is my experience, is exactly what the doctor said. I lost myself and was not caring for myself. And like I said earlier, that has tentacles way in. And maybe that's for another conversation, maybe not. But at the end of the day, it was, you just have no idea how that works until you're there. And then you start saying, oh my God, you start looking at the pictures, you start thinking about the things that you did, that you didn't do for yourself. And the beautiful thing about it is that if you get where I got, to accept all that God has given me and the opportunities. And the opportunity He gave me here was to look at myself, not to blame anybody, not to blame myself, but to look at myself, to evaluate who I really was and who Simon really is. I'm a loving, caring, sensitive, understanding person. And if I get emotional, it's because I've lost things that emotionally affect me. If I get emotional, it's because I have feelings. If I get emotional because somebody is going through whatever they're going through, this last 2 weeks, I've experienced a lot of loss, friends and family members, all kinds of things have been going on, and that makes me emotional. There's so many things that makes me emotional, but it frees me and makes me feel safe. And today I'm in a situation and in a relationship that I feel safe, that I can talk about these things. And when I go to the doctor and he says the things that he says to me, it's not as scary when I surround myself with the right people. And first and foremost, it's God that helps me walk through those rooms.
I want to go back to something you said just prior to this piece, is that two things. One is that I so appreciate the words you have spoken this evening. You have truly spoken from your soul, from your heart. Your willingness to speak on a very difficult, hard topic that most people want to avoid. It's like an elephant in a room almost. Mm-hmm. I love you for this. I appreciate you for this, Simon. And I identify with everything you have shared tonight.
You're an inspiration, Jay, because I've watched you go through this. not only are you dealing with what you're dealing with, you're reaching out to lots of people, and it's coming from deep inside your heart, deep inside your spiritual growth. You know, the first time you and I prayed together was a very emotional thing for me, and it was a beautiful sign that God gave me uh, to meet you and have that experience. And when you say, I wasn't alone, you have no idea how not alone in that moment I was not or was feeling. You know, up until then, you know, I was pretty out there. And, you know, when we first met and then we were able to pray the first day, I knew there was something there. I knew it was okay to have feelings. I knew it was okay that I wanted to be heard. And I'm not the only one with these kind of things. You're not the only one with these kind of things. But they hurt and they're scary. And we need to be heard. And it's okay. You know, we'll work these things out. And I am so grateful to have people in my life that keep me safe. You know, they cuddle me, they support me. They don't do anything. You know, they teach me how to take care of myself, which, you know, I'm happy to do today. So that's really cool. I'm so grateful that you have come into my life and you've changed my life profoundly. I cannot tell you how much you've profound. You're a brother. I love you. I would do anything for you. You're my safe spot sometimes. It's amazing. I can see how hard you work. I can see the love that is shown to you. You're just an amazing guy. You're an amazing guy, and you've helped me a lot, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. You know, it's thank you. To receive these words that you just shared, they hit my soul. You know, that sweet spot that I pray to live in every single day, which is the place of humility, not from the place of ego and pride. Because I spent about 54 years of my life, I had no humility. I had no empathy. I had zero compassion for anybody else. I didn't have the capacity. I didn't have the ability to feel. I didn't have the ability to share my emotions, to cry with another man. And not only that, to cry with another man on a Facebook Live show, Real Men, Real Talk Raw.
You know what? Hey,
these are the blessings and gifts. These are the miracles that happen. You know, when we finally were willing, well, when we hit our bottom, when we hit our rock bottom, and we were both at our knees, and both of our lives had the perfect storms that led up to, for different reasons. And you know, what I heard you say, Simon, is that, and this is my truth, this is my story as well. If I hadn't hit my rock bottom and had to walk through all of the most challenging, difficult experiences over the last 33 months, which included making a decision to leave my wife at that time of 29 years, losing my dad 3 months later, all in between having some major medical work done on myself because not all, but many of my major arteries had shut down, and I was at 99% or 100% blocked, not just in my heart, but in both of my legs. And I was diagnosed with a very serious blood disorder that could take me out at any time, that today has been controlled, unfortunately or fortunately, through what I call the poison pill. That's also has saved my life. But that's for another show, my thoughts on that. But where I want to go with this is that if I hadn't gone through all of that, and if I hadn't hit my rock bottom, I wouldn't have become the man that I am today.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so
Please
The
do.
other point I want to just share is that when you talk about other people, like just being right where they're at, and they're all, as far as being able to love and give love, for most of my life, I was a very damaged man. I had a lot of wounds and traumas that I had never worked through and never faced.
Mm-hmm.
And my way of dealing with all of that was just surviving in life and just getting by and just avoiding it and living in denial, but being very hurtful to myself and being very hurtful to the people in my life that I cared very deeply about. And I'm so grateful and so blessed today that that God gave me an opportunity to try to fix myself,
Mm-hmm.
to heal myself, so that whatever time I have left, I get to do a few things differently. I get to make living amends through a change of my behavior.
Exactly.
Secondly, I get to change, hopefully, the legacy that I leave behind. And if today is to be the last day of my life, hopefully my eulogy is different today than it would have been 34 or 33 months ago. And that's the gift of me hitting my rock bottom. You know, I had to get sick to near death.
Exactly.
To wake up, to come out of that dark closet like you did. And so I am grateful for that. It sure would have been a whole lot better if I could have figured this all out when I was in my 20s and caused a lot less pain to myself and to my loved ones. But you know, that wasn't the plan. And I had to go through all that I had to go through to get to right where I am today.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go.
I believe that God has a plan for us all. I believe that God had a plan for you, and that plan is happening right now. There's so much for you to offer through your experience, strength, and hope. I believe there's a plan for me. Same thing. I believe that we're given the opportunity to have this awareness, to have this understanding, to have this acceptance, and finally surrender to ourselves. And you know, it's a beautiful thing when a man of our age can realize that. Some people live a life of regret, or die a life of regret. Yeah, things happen. Yeah, things are devastating. Yeah, all of these things. We still have feelings. We still have, you know, uh, fears and all of these things. But we have God, and God will never forsake us. And I have watched the miracles of God through, prayer with you, watch your recovery, watched your life change. And man, that's what it's about. Being, real man, real talk, taking action, doing what you need to do for yourself because you love yourself and you want to live and you want to participate. And that's what it is. Some guys don't want to do that. Some people don't want to do that. Some people think it's crazy that we do what we do, but that's okay. This is about our recovery. This is about our God, our belief, and our willingness to live and do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Thank you, Simon, for sharing that. I do want to touch on one of the beautiful gifts that you provide to others is through Facebook. On your personal page, you pretty much show up daily, and you share your own experience, you share your strength, you share your weaknesses, you share your hope, and you do it through you write blogs, and on some days you actually go live. And I don't think that I have missed one blog. I don't believe I've missed one live on replay. But what resonates with me is that you decided very early on in your fight to live that you were not going to be private about your battle. You were going to come out front and you were going to put on your big boy pants, as the saying goes, and you were going to grow up and you were going to take responsibility for your life.
Exactly. And anybody that knows Simon M. Gonzales Jr., and I say this in all humility, tell me I can't do something, and in my naiveness, I would just go for it. Today, I don't have that naiveness, but I know the value of participating. I know the value of that and what that means. And that's what I do. That's what I got to do. You just got to participate, and you got to understand that. For me, tell me I'm going to die in 2 to 7 years. Go ahead and tell me that. And today, when the doctors look at me, I am so blessed. I am so grateful. They're just like, okay, just keep doing what you're doing, and that's God participating in me helping. It's scary. The struggle is real. And, it's like rabbit holes all around, If you don't watch them, you'll get sucked right down into one of those, and then I'll need to call Jay and say, "Help me! I need some help." And that's the beauty of a relationship with somebody, that's male, that understands, that has compassion, that has feeling, that has willing to open up and share personal things. I mean, I have shared some personal things, and I just. I was asked to speak at a meeting, at an event, and I shared some personal things. And people came up to me, and I was discreet and respectful, and they thanked me for that. And the only thing I can say is that it was not only healthy for me, it was healthy for that person. And I could see that they felt like they weren't alone. And you do feel alone when you have these kind of things. And I am so grateful that God has given us, you, given me, all the people that we talk about that make sense and that live in similar situations and have similar beliefs. It's a beautiful thing. I don't feel so fearful now, and I have somebody that loves me and cares for me, that loves me for who I am and not what I'm not. It's an awesome feeling. And, not giving that up, baby. No.
Did you just say I do matter?
Yes, you matter. You matter. You matter. We matter.
Yeah.
We mean something. We did something. We raised families. We provided. We did. We may not have did it all the right way, but we did a lot in our years. And we deserve to be heard. We deserve to be loved. We deserve to be appreciated. And we need to do the same thing for others. And part of the recovery from any health crisis is all of that involved. And when you can lean into faith, I get on my hands and knees every day. And I pray for Jay. I pray for people in my life that bring value to my life. I pray for people that didn't bring value to my life. I pray for understanding. I pray for love. And like I said last time I was on the show, love, love, love until it stops hurting. And that's how you get through that diagnosis. It's scary. The battle's real. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? But if nothing else, I've leaned into my faith. I'm grateful. And I'm ready for whatever God has for me. And I'll take it on under his direction and with him. That's how I'm going to get through this. And that's how I am getting through it. That's an awesome feeling to have, that I'm not giving up. It's just, it's It's power in God, baby. Power in God. So, okay.
I'm kind of moving in my seat here because I'm like dancing to the music that you're playing, and the music's just coming out. It's coming out from within you. And God, it just brings tears to my eyes. This is the 5th time today that I have become emotional. I was on a call this morning with this young man. I'm just going to switch it up. I know we're almost out of time. His name is. I'm going to share this story with you because it's just so beautiful, and it shows so much hope for the future. This young man, I call him young because he's younger than me. He's 27 years old, and he hit his rock bottom when he was 22. And he has crawled and crawled back. He's 27 now. And he is a man of service. He's building his own business, helping other people. He is a coach. He is a beautiful soul. We spent about an hour and 15 minutes on a call this morning on a FaceTime. He called me, and we were in the call for about 2 minutes, and I said, do you mind if I hit FaceTime? Because I need to connect with you, and it's not going to happen through the phone line. I need to see your face. Mm-hmm. And we talked for an hour and 15 minutes, and this young man is just an unbelievable soul. And we shared our stories, and I got emotional 3 times. And what was behind that was that there's such hope that there are people that are in pain, and they stay in pain their whole life. And then there are others that when they hit their bottom, they're done. And they are willing to surrender and do whatever they have to do to get well, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, if they're broken there. And this is a gentleman that has done that for himself, and now he is being of service and providing, sharing his wisdom and his knowledge and his healing with others. And I'm excited to announce that he is agreed to come on this show. I believe August 10th. It's going to be in 2 weeks from now. Chris Burns.
That's my birthday.
Facebook Live. But I share the story because it's just, there's the hope too, is like, you know, I was 54 when I hit my rock bottom. I think you were maybe 61, 62. We don't have to be that old to hit.
That's a beautiful thing. That 20, how old is he now?
He's 27.
Oh, that is God's grace, blessing right there. Can you imagine getting this at 27? I can't wait.
I can't imagine it because I hear so many sad stories. I got texted today by a friend of mine that you may know who just texted me to say a friend of hers lost her child, and she was heading to the funeral today due to an overdose. Another overdose. Another child went down because of addiction. And you know, it was such an amazing day for me because here I am. I had this connection soul to soul with Chris. And actually, while I was on this call with him, her text came through, and I saw it come through, but I didn't read it until I was off the call. And here she is sharing with me this story of like, she just doesn't even know how she's going to get through this funeral. How is she going to show up and be supportive to this mom that lost her baby today, or is it going to the funeral today? And here at the same time, I have this experience with this young man who hit his bottom, and his bottom wasn't death. And he was able to crawl out of that hole. And today is giving back to others. Just the same way you and I are attempting to do it. And we all have our own way of doing it. And it doesn't matter how we do it. What matters is that we just have the love in our heart, in our soul, and we're willing to pay it forward and help others that are willing, that want the help.
You have to be willing. You have to be willing to jump in. You know, it's easy for me at 65 to sit in my chair and wait for whatever's going to happen. But at 27 years old, for him to get that, whatever that rock bottom was for him, that's God's way of saying, hey, you don't need to go 50, 60 to do this. If you're willing and you're ready to put the work in, then we will work together with this. And it's something that is going to require patience and love and understanding. And there's going to be step backs and all of these other things. But at 27, oh my gosh, it makes me want to cry just thinking of all of the beautiful things that he gets to experience, he gets to share, and he gets to understand the true meaning of what a God-centered life is like to live. And that is a beautiful thing at 27. I just lost a really close family friend to the terrible disease, depression. And it's just a sad thing that at 24, you know, that couldn't happen for her. But, you know, God has a plan for everybody, and there's things happen for a reason. But then going back to this kid at 27 years old, you bring out that in people. And you brought that out in me. Look at you. Look at me. I'm the isolator. You got me on this show twice talking about things that can get very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Simon, we are out of time. However, I do want to let you know that I don't think that this is the last time you will be on the show. I would like to invite you to come back from time to time to continue to share your journey as it continues to unfold, to share the successes and how you continue to navigate through your battle of fighting your prognosis. And I am so honored to call you friend today. I am so blessed to have had the experience of letting you into my heart, letting you into my life, letting you into my soul, because you have taught me a lot about living, about loving someone else, another man, about how to navigate through the most difficult moments of a lifetime. And I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for your love. And I thank you for your willingness to come on Real Men, Real Talk Raw and participating and paying it forward to others that may be facing similar challenges that you have walked through. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. My love to your angel, Linda. And may the two of you continue to be blessed. And may God continue to provide to you what you need to walk through this with continued dignity, grace, and love.
I thank you so much, Jay, and I appreciate you. You mean the world to me, and to Linda. She sees the value that I get from you. You're just a beautiful man, and I appreciate it. And my love to Mary. I mean, God blessed us. That's all I can say right now about that. And I am so thankful. So yeah, I will be more than happy to come on and talk on other things, and know that you're doing God's work. You're doing work for yourself. You're doing work for me. And there's so many people that need to hear what you have to say. You mean something. And you deserve to have everything that you desire in life. You're one of the bravest, courageous, and I stand with the elite of the elite. It takes a lot of courage and brave to do what you do. And I thank you for that. And God,
amen.
Thank you.
I love you. Have a beautiful weekend. And rock on, baby.
Rock on. We got it. We'll do it. Love you, man. All right. Bye-bye.